It's time for Dodger baseball.
What's going on, Dodgers Nation? Welcome to the Dodgers Nation post-game show. I'm your host, Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. And first things first, I want all your thoughts and takeaways on the Dodgers' 5-3 loss to the New York Mets. The Mets take the season series 4-3. It was very close, a run differential. The scoring between the two, 25-24 on the year, the season series. And look, this is a matchup we could see in the postseason. This is a team that has World Series aspirations just like the Dodgers. You have talented hitters, all-star players, elite pitchers, and the Mets, they got the best of the Dodgers in this series. And let's be honest, the Mets made this Dodger team look human. This Mets team brought this Dodgers team down to earth. And yes, you can say the Dodgers, they have this big cushion. Their record now sits at 90-40. They're still on pace to win 112 games. But this was, if you want to look at it as some type of test, a postseason atmosphere, the electricity of New York City. And the Dodgers, they just didn't get it done. If you look at the bats in this series, LA, they averaged 2.6 runs per game. In the streak in August, they were in their run in August averaging over 6 runs per game. This is a team that leads Major League Baseball with 5.3 runs per game over that. And yeah, it was just a disappointing series for this Dodger team. You saw poor execution offensively. They go 4 for 20 with runners in scoring position. And I think that my biggest takeaway today was I'm calling the Los Angeles Augers, because you can't say the D because they didn't bring that D today. You saw sloppy defense even in the first inning, the way the defense was shifted for the pull against Francisco Lindor, yes, but Trey Turner, he doesn't make a play that ends up as a single, and what happens, they end up getting a run after Clayton Kershaw. He walks in his first run since 2015. He's only done it 7 times in his career, and then you saw the play with Gavin Lux later in the game. Really 2 plays that cost the Dodgers with Gavin Lux. The first one, of course, coming in that 6th inning. And yeah, we're going to break it all down, but you saw him just not be able to charge that infield single by Starling Marte. And on that play, look, we know Marte, he's one of the better runners in the league, in the 70th percentile when it comes to sprint speed. He gets a nice jump out of the box. He's hustling. And Gavin Lux, way too casual. You have to charge that. You have to make a play. Instead, he stays back, lets the ball come to him, and Marte is able to get that infield single and ends up turning into a run. And then later in the 7th inning, we saw a play where where it was a miscommunication there by Gavin Lux and Mookie Betts, and you just don't see that very often. And in that play, of course, it was there in the 8th inning. I mean, they're in the 7th inning, and it was also by Starling Marte, that single to left, and that scored Nemo. And Marte ended up at second on the play. And yeah, I mean, Gavin Lux starts back on it. Mookie starts to come in on it. And then there's just no communication. Yes, the outfielder is always going to have the priority there. But yeah, it was just sloppy defense by this Dodger team. And really this entire road trip, you saw the 3-error game against Miami. You saw some bad plays by Justin Turner, one by Trey Turner, the throw by Joey Gallo. And yeah, it's just been sloppy. It hasn't been crisp, hasn't been celery, as my friend Dontrell Willis likes to say. But let's get into some of your takes. We're going to break down this whole thing. Of course, Michelada half full take is Clayton Kershaw and how he pitched a perfect 4 innings after that rough first inning where he threw 25 pitches, had the 3 walks, but still ends up getting out of the inning, allowing just that, or just giving up that 1 run there. So yeah, we'll break it all down, but here, let's get into your takes. Just got home from practice. What happened? That's from Trey's Gallo season 2022. Michael Carrillo says this series was a failure. By the way, I'm looking for that comment of the night. I'm looking for that fire take, and if I see that, you're going to see one of these. We'll work on that, but you're going to see some of those fire takes. But we got the fire take. Oh, whoops. I'm in the fire take. We got boom, boom. All right. We got the bullpen sucked today. That's from Verdell Newsom. Verdell Newsom over on Facebook said the bullpen sucked today. We'll do a little bullpen roll call on this one. And yeah, I mean, the jinx was on. You saw on the screen. In the last 5 games, bullpen hadn't allowed a run, going 15 in a third scoreless innings. And today, the bullpen, yeah, Caleb Ferguson, he did not look sharp at all. 23 pitches, only 13 for strikes. He allowed 3 hits, allowed 2 earned runs, had the 1 strikeout. But, yeah, he was very erratic at times. Wasn't very impressed with Caleb Ferguson. And then Chris Martin, he gives it those 2 earned runs in his inning of work, allowed those 2 hits, had the 1 punch out. So yeah, the bullpen wasn't at their best today, and Chris Martin, he comes in there in the 6th inning, the bottom of the 6th inning. Really, that's kind of how it all started with that rough play there by Gavin Lux. So Gavin Lux slow to make that throw to first. Marte gets that infield hit. 1-2 pitch to Lindor. He ends up doubling to deep center. The ball rolls all the way to the wall. Marte scores the tying run, and the shift was to the right side of the infield, and in the outfield it was shifted all the way to the left. So Marte got a great jump out there from first, and a very fast runner, and if he's putting it on, he's turning on those boosties, and he got a nice jump, like I said, and he ends up scoring on the play. And then Lindor, he scores third. So another example of just not crisp play by the Dodgers. The pitch was high for a ball. Muncy caught it and had to reach. So he kind of catches it in front of the bag instead of letting the ball come to him. If he had done that, he would have had a better chance of getting him out there at third base. So, yeah, then after that, Martin strikes out Alonso swinging on an elevated fastball for the second out. And then Darren Ruff, who's had a very rough go of it since joining the New York Mets, he ends up coming up there and he had a sac fly to left on a 2-2 pitch there, and it was a sinker. Kind of just went out, just hit it to left field, and yeah, that shows you right there how costly that stolen base was, because that stolen base, Lindor is able to score there, and that puts the Mets up 3-2 in that situation. So I was not very impressed with this Dodgers team execution. I don't want to hear about how their record is so phenomenal, how they have this cushion. And yes, I think they're going to absolutely set a new franchise record with 107 wins. But yeah, this is just bad execution. I don't know if they're out partying in New York. I saw them going a lot of places. But yeah, I mean, it's okay to lose. You're going to lose games. Baseball is going to be baseball. But this is a New York Mets team that they had a lot going into this series. I mean, they were up 3 games on the Braves. They want to win that division so they can avoid facing the Dodgers early in the postseason. They only want to face the Dodgers in the NLCS because that way they can set up their rotation with DeGrom and Scherzer. But yeah, the Dodgers definitely, they look human now after going against this Mets team. And like I said, regular season is great, this and that, but let's not forget the Braves won the World Series, having won just 88 games last season. So it's about execution. It's also about how you fare against the better teams and the better competition in Major League Baseball. And sure, you can say this was the Dodgers B team. I'm fine with that. But you look at that big three, the big three in this series, they end up going 6 for 35. Mookie Betts, Trey Turner, and Freddie Freeman, and hitting a combined 171, and most of those hits coming from Mookie Betts. It was a very rough series for Trey Turner. Freddie Freeman, he had some hits, but you didn't see them in the extra base hit. He had 1 extra base hit. So, yeah, I think this Dodgers offense wasn't very impressive, and I think this road trip was interesting when you look at the defense as a whole. But let's get back into this comment section. What are your thoughts on the Dodgers losing the season series to the New York Mets? And look, Kershaw, he was 11-0 in his career versus the New York Mets. The Dodgers had won 14 of 15 games in his career playing the New York Mets, but today it was not the case. Umpire cheat can do a job. Nito Flores. Yeah, the umpire was atrocious. You talk about Trayce Thompson tonight, who... yeah, I mean, Trayce Thompson's a guy, he pretty much swings at half the pitches he sees. Tonight, that wasn't the case. He had that play discipline, and then there was a situation where with Trayce Thompson, he should have had 3 walks today. Instead, he ends up with 2 walks, but he ends up 0 for 2. But yeah, the strike zone tonight was kind of inconsistent, going both ways. You saw Dave Roberts had the issue with the lights, and unfortunately, the light just didn't turn on for this Dodgers offense. They ended up going 6 for 30 today. They had the 1 extra base hit, Justin Turner. And yeah, the unfortunate play, Justin Turner not hitting 1 out. But here we go. We got hi D-Mac. Hey, Craig Osterberg. How's it going? Gary Webb, this is not the first time the Dodgers lose because of Lux, and it won't be the last, unfortunately. That's from Gary Webb. Yeah, I mean, look, I think when Gavin Lux has a defensive mishap, I think it gets magnified. There's no question about it. But you also saw the Dodgers' first walk-off of the season against the Phillies. What happened in that game? What happened in that game against the Phillies with Gavin Lux? He ends up getting that. I mean, now and the Dodgers were down bad in that series. I mean, that was back in, I think, mid-May, and Gavin Lux had that error, and he ends up redeeming himself, but that wasn't the case today. You even saw him taking some big swings late in this game, trying to tie things up and get it all back. But yeah, I saw some big swings too from this Dodgers offense. If you look at their approach at the plate, Justin Turner, Max Muncy off Edwin Diaz, really swinging for the fences late when you really just have to manufacture runs and get them back one at a time. But here we go, brutal, y'all, brutal. That's from Rebecca Michelle David. By the way, is this series loss something, nothing, or everything? Do you take anything from it as far as how the Dodgers could look in the postseason? Because I see some people out there saying, oh, typical Dodgers, they face elite pitching, they face an elite team, and they get beat. But look, the reality is the Dodgers have had a lot of success against some of the better pitchers in the league this series. Look at Alcantara a couple weeks ago in Los Angeles against Corbin Burns, against Rodon. I mean, there's plenty of examples. And then in this case, DeGrom, he really had his way with the Dodgers yesterday. Alcantara in the first, in the second, in the rematch in Miami, he definitely had his way against the Dodgers. He was very solid. I mean, he was dominant. He was absolutely outstanding. He was shoving too. So yeah, I mean, you could say that if you want, but I think the reality is this is a Dodger team where they're not going to push guys, but there's a lot of baseball to be played. I don't want to you want to keep guys fresh. You want to give them load management. You want to make sure they have the tread on the tires. You want to have them have the advantage in the postseason by having the rest. But to me, I think you got to go out there and you got to maintain these good habits that have led to this Dodger team having their best record in all of Major League Baseball. You don't want to put themselves in a situation where they're complacent, they're lackadaisical late in the year. Yes, there's not much to play for in the division. They have that sewn up. You talk about magic numbers. I'm not a big magic number guy. I don't care about magic numbers because to me, I'm not here to win a division title this is a World Series or bust team. So to me, the magic number is really about sewing up that home field advantage throughout the postseason. Because look, when's the last time you celebrated a division title for more than a day? When's the last time you wore your division title hat or shirt around town with pride? When's the last time you saw your division title giveaway? Look, to me, this team has won plenty of division titles. They had won 8 straight before having it snapped by the Giants last season. This team has to win the World Series for its season to be considered a success. And yeah, I mean, that's tough. Those expectations are very lofty, but that's just the reality of the situation. If this team doesn't win the World Series, everyone out there will consider this year and this team a failure. And yes, that's high-stakes poker, but that's just the reality, the harsh reality when it comes to a team that has this collection of stars, that has this amount of depth, that has this amount of money invested in this group. But yeah, you definitely want to see him sharpen up the defense. But yeah, on the positive side, Kershaw, after that first inning, he was absolutely filthy. That's from Jamie Lannister. Jonathan Morton, is there a reason for concern? Maybe a little. That's from Jonathan over on Facebook. Guys need to hit the weight room. That's from Michael. Jamie Lannister says Trey falls asleep in big games. Do you guys agree with Jamie? Do you think Trey Turner has a .561 career postseason OPS falls asleep in big games? I want your takes on that. Robert Fosta, 3rd, 4th, and 5th hitters, no hits. Yeah, Robert, that definitely was a problem throughout this series. The meat of that Dodgers lineup after Max Muncy and Justin Turner. Justin Turner had some big games, some big hits, but yeah, I mean, that's what you need from the meat of that lineup. You need them to produce, and Max Muncy, who really had looked like the Max Muncy of old in the month of August and was really showing signs of turning around, definitely didn't have his best series, but still, I still think that Muncy is on the right track. And you look at the August that Muncy had, putting up that .906 OPS, he was really fantastic. So I still feel good about Muncy, but yeah, they just didn't produce the meat of that lineup. It's a great point out there. Dodgers look tired and flat. That's from Cypress Collier over on YouTube. Richard Kim King, if this was indeed a preview of the playoffs, there were some mental errors and miscues in this series. Yeah, I mean, we will be fine. Not worried. That's from Steve Gatto. Dodgers We got Deluxe way too complacent against a first-place division team. Yeah, look, you really want to show out and you really want to show this Mets team who you know that, look, yes, was this series bigger for the Mets than it was for the Dodgers? There's no question about that. If you look at the competition in the NL East, especially with the Phillies emerging later in the season, they had more to play for. And also you hear all the talk about this big, bad Dodger team, but look, they made the Dodgers look human in this series. DeGrom-inated the Dodgers yesterday, and today the Dodgers, Kershaw, we'll talk about his outing because that's definitely something to feel good about, but offensively, you can live with a bad game at the plate. You can live with some offensive struggles. To me, it's the execution on defense. And look, that's why you look at a box score and you look for the errors as an indicator for bad defense. No, if you watch the game, you know that that definitely does not tell the full story. It even started in the first inning. And look, yes, the Dodgers, when it comes to the way they embrace and use the shift, they benefit from it more than any team in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers get more outs via the shift than any team in the league, but it definitely didn't help them there in the bottom of the first inning. So Nimmo, he grounded to first for the first out, and then Clayton Kershaw, he ends up walking Marte on 5 pitches. He was missing high, he was missing low with that slider. And then Kersh's first pitch fastball to Lindor, he singles to center on a play that could have been a double play ball. And they were shifted for Lindor to pull on that play, and the Dodgers, like we just said, they definitely benefit from the shift, but in that case, the ball ends up in center field. It goes as a hit. That sets the Mets up with runners on first and second with no outs, and yeah, that's definitely not what you want to see with Clayton Kershaw in his first inning back after having missed nearly a month of action. And the interesting thing with Clayton Kershaw in the first inning was he just didn't have the feel for that slider. He just didn't have the command of it. It didn't have the bite. It didn't have the depth. And he had to find a way to fight his way out of that hole by trying to locate that fastball. Did it get some curveballs in there, but yeah, after Lindor got that single, he ends up walking Alonso on a 3-2 pitch. He missed low and inside with the fastball, and that loads the bases. And then on a 1-1 count, he gets rough to foul to third for the second out. And then on a 3-1 count, he ends up walking Canna, and that scored Marte to make it 1-0 Mets. The Mets draw first blood. Like I said earlier, it was the first time that Kershaw had issued a bases-loaded walk since 2015. He did it against the Pirates that year. It's only happened 7 times in his career. And then he bounces back to get McNeil to foul out for the third out. So considering he throws 25 pitches, didn't have that command, you had the bad defense, he gets out of that inning, gets out of that jam, allowing just 1 run on that 1 hit. And yeah, it was only the 9th time in his career that he allowed 3 walks in an inning. But after that, he was stellar. He was fantastic. He ends up retiring the final 13 batters that he had faced. And yeah, he looked dominant at times. I mean, the bottom of the second inning, he strikes out Escobar on 3 pitches, gets him swinging at a slider for the first out, and then on a 2-2 pitch, then on a 6 pitch, they at bat to McCann. He gets in the line to center for the second out, and then on a 1-2 pitch to Nemo, he punches him out with a fastball for the third out. So 1-2-3 inning on 25 pitches in the first inning, and then the second inning a 1-2-3 on 10 pitches. So he definitely settled down, but we'll continue to break down his outing in just a second. But first, let's get back into your comments. We got Ian Coutain. Where was Vargas? Well, you saw Miguel Vargas. He was in the dugout. He was smiling. He was feeling good being back with this Dodgers team in the show. But yeah, you're going to see him get his opportunities. I mean, you're going to see him as a bat off the bench, especially against left-handed pitchers, and I definitely think you'll see him spell Justin Turner and Max Muncy at third base. You saw Max Muncy on that Frankie Lindor steal later in the game that led to a run. Didn't play that his best. I think he should let the ball kind of come in front of the base and give himself a better shot to make the tag. And then also Justin Turner, he's had 2-3 errors during this road trip alone, so he's a guy that could benefit from some time off his feet as well. And you saw what happened last season with those late injuries to those two. I think that they're going to give Miguel Vargas plenty of opportunities to get some time at third base. It just wasn't today. We got Lompoc Jorge. The bullpen is one of the strengths. They just had an off day. Our offense got dominated by Mets pitching. Let's see what happens come playoffs. Yeah, I think that's a fantastic point, and the reality is that this team, I mean, you look at this bullpen's ERA, it's almost a run better than the second place team than the second best bullpen during this stretch since July. So the numbers indicate that this bullpen has been consistently the best bullpen in all of Major League Baseball. But like we talked about earlier, the defense didn't do them any favors in this one. The lackadaisical plays, the complacent plays by Gavin Lux in this one really cost the Dodgers. I mean, Lux messed up big time. That's from Vincent over on Facebook. Gratterall and Gonsolin news is not good. That's from Richard Burris. Yeah, I mean, it isn't. I mean, the Tony Gonsolin news, the first time it came out, it was a little encouraging because he said, oh, it's a forearm strain. It didn't go away. He experiences pain earlier in the season, but on this case and this occasion, he ends up going on the IL. He was supposed to miss 2 starts, but then we learned today that he hasn't even picked up a baseball yet. So you don't want to hear that, and it looks like it's definitely going to be more than 2 starts that he's going to miss. He's definitely probably going to miss at least 3 or 4 starts. We'll see what happens. That's just pure speculation. But yeah, anytime you hear anything like that when it comes to a guy that throws that split change the way it does, the torque, the strain it kind of puts on your throwing arm, it's definitely something to be concerned about. And also when you factor in that this is a career high when it comes to innings pitched for Tony Gonsolin, and there's a couple ways you can look at that. I mean, yeah, maybe you could say, oh, yeah, he hasn't had the same wear and tear on his career that others pitchers have had and experienced throughout their careers. But then you can also look at it and say, hey, yeah, he's not as built up to sustain this. But, yeah, 128 and a thirds innings pitched for Tony Gonsolin this season, a 2.10 ERA, a 3.34 FIP. And you compare it to last year, I mean, 128, that's more than double his career high in innings pitched. So we'll see if that's taking its toll. But, hey, cats have 9 lives, so I'm sure he can withstand this. And the time is still meow for Tony Gonsolin. But to say it's not a little bit concerning, I think would just be a little reckless. I mean, I think it's definitely, when you consider how much this team has needed him this season, you're definitely going to have to really focus on getting him back on that mound and really seeing how these test results look when they do get more information. Because, yeah, I think it'll be very interesting. And then when it comes to Brusdar Graterol, yeah, I mean, he's another guy, too, that it is very concerning when you talk about Brusdar Graterol, because Brusdar Graterol is a guy that they had throwing in a bullpen session yesterday, and they had hoped that he was going to be ready to go yesterday, and the pain just didn't go away. And he's a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries in his time with the Dodgers, from shoulder tightness to inflammation to strains and this and that. And the fact that he was pretty much non-committal on coming back and helping the Dodgers this season, he didn't really want to say anything until the test results came in, I think was definitely something worth noting. I mean, he is going to undergo an MRI when the team returns to Los Angeles on Friday. And, anytime you hear Dave Roberts saying like he's what Dave Roberts said when it came to Tony Gonsolin, that he hasn't progressed like they had hoped, and he also said about Brusdar Graterol, we'll wait and see on the MRI results, and we'll try to figure it out. But he did say that they hope to get him back at some point in mid-September. But he also said that the Dodgers are a little banged up right now. So let's hope that they can benefit from this lead that they've built and get guys right for the stretch run the postseason. Don't blame the umps. That's from Jason Diamond. No blaming the umps. The Mets earned this series, but the umps, they were trash at times. I mean, look at the at bat for Trey Thompson. All those strikes, they were clearly inside. Those should have gone as balls. And then the one pitch that he rings them up on, it was clearly off the plate. So, yeah, but the reality is that this team did not play well offensively all series long. Big thing about the LCS, only 1 day off. That's from Matt De La Rosa over on YouTube, who hooks up with a $1.99 super chat. I appreciate you, my man. That's going to free agents. I'm going to put that. Maybe we'll put that towards Aaron Judge this offseason. Maybe we'll put that towards Trey's extension. I save all the super chats. I send it directly to Andrew Friedman's Venmo, and I say, hey, this is my contribution to the free agents and re-signing guys. But, yeah, I think when you bring up that point with the games 5 and 6 in the NLCS, that should theoretically help the Dodgers, who have just about as much or more depth than anyone in all of Major League Baseball. But we have to see if guys can stay healthy, because the way that injuries seem to pile up with this team at times. I think we'll kind of cross that bridge when we get there, and hopefully the Dodgers are in a position where they not only get guys back that have been injured, the bruised Dark Gratteralls and Tony Gonsolins, but also guys that have missed significant time in Blake Trinan. We'll see what happens with Tommy Kahnle, Victor Gonzalez, Danny Duffy, those types of players. Edwin Rios, I don't think is going to get we'll see. I think it's an outside shot that he gets a chance to play, but we'll see what after picking up Joey Gallo and Trayce Thompson, seeing what they've been able to do, you almost feel like he's going to be the odd man out. Props to D-Mac for showing up after this one. Matty Man Dodge, hey, I'm here. Sun, rain, whatever it is, rainbows, I'm here. I'm here for you guys no matter what. And sometimes I like the losses more than the wins on this post-game show because we really kind of unearth the real problems with this team, if there are any. And obviously you always want to win, but sometimes it's interesting to see your comments when there is a loss, because then we can really, I always say, it's almost like spotting a pimple on a supermodel with this team. But I think during this road trip, the lack of crispness with this defense, to me, it was a little alarming at times, and I think it's something we needed to address. And if they're winning games every single night, it's tough to come on here and point these things out. Because look, the postseason, just ask Bill Buckner. They can come down to one play in particular, one defensive lapse, and this team needs to be locked in. I know that can be hard at times when you consider the lead that they had built, but yeah, really hopefully if this today is a sign of how Clayton Kershaw is going to pitch the rest of the way and in the postseason, the Dodgers are going to be in good shape. If you just have a big three of Julio Urias, Clayton Kershaw, and Dustin May, and then hopefully you get Tyler Anderson, of course, continues to contribute, and then they get Tony Gonsolin back. But this version of Clayton Kershaw that we saw today against a very talented New York Mets lineup on the road, it was very encouraging for Dodger fans. Just keep continuing on with this Dodger team with this game. You guys have really blown me up over the last few weeks about the struggles of Chris Taylor. We call him, Chris Kaler or Swing and Miss Chris. I have a friend who calls him a CT 3 strikes, you're out. Yeah, keep coming with the nicknames. You guys know I love me some nicknames, but Chris Taylor did help the Dodgers early in this one in the top of the second inning. We'll talk about that inning as well, where Max Muncy, he flied to left to start the inning. Justin Turner on a 1-2 pitch, he ends up doubling to left. Nice piece of hitting there, a slider that just kind of leaked in out over the middle of the plate. He takes advantage. He hits a double. And then Lux, he ends up singling to center on an 0-1 pitch. That set the Dodgers up with runners on first and third. And then Trayce Thompson, great at-bat. He ends up getting ahead in the count 3-0 and then takes 2 strikes looking, and then ultimately takes ball 4 low and away to load the bases. And then CT3, Chris Taylor on a 1-2 count. He ends up singling to right, a single down the right field line, and that scored 2 Dodgers. Justin Turner scored and Lux on the play. That made it 2-1. But on the play, Trayce Thompson, he ends up getting thrown out, and he was out by a mile. I mean, hey, man, there could have been a Trayce outside of him. That's how bad it was, okay? They just really got him out pretty bad. I think on the play it was pretty clear. Evidently, Gavin Lux, he was rounding third, and Dino Ebel was sending him all the way, and Trayce Thompson, he kind of felt maybe that he was also including him in that, or he was sending him as well. But otherwise, that's a play where you got to keep Trayce Thompson at third base because, yeah, he was out by a mile, and that could have cost the Dodgers because you could have had Trayce Thompson on third with Mookie Betts at the plate. And then Mookie, he ends up coming up and he ends up grounding out. So the Dodgers get 2 runs on 3 hits in that inning, but they could have been up 3-1 instead of 2-1. But, nice to see Chris Taylor have a little success there. And then you jump ahead with Clayton Kershaw. Let's jump back into the comments here, and we'll continue to talk about his outing. So, how concerned are you about the Dodgers defense on a scale of 1 to 10? They have been one of the better defensive teams in the league this season, but yeah, they have been a little complacent, a little lackluster on this road trip. And hey, you go to Miami, who knows what you're doing at night? You go to New York, we saw them going a bunch of places as a team, you don't know what you're doing at night. They go to the the MLB league offices, the headquarters. They were at the Jackie Robinson Museum doing things like that. So, hey, this team was out and active. And, hey, yeah, when you're in the Big Apple, you got to do it some justice and go out and have some team bonding. But this team, they looked a little flat. I'm not going to lie. They looked a little flat in this series against the New York Mets. But back in the comment section, we got Stan the Rams fan. A lot of robbery in this series. Dodgers might as well stop appealing down to base umpires. You're not getting it. Dave Luna, D-Mac on a scale of 1 to 10. What's your level of concern over the Catman news today? Dave, I think, like I said, he's got 9 lives, so that should help him out in this situation. But I do think with Tony Gonsolin is a guy that really keeps himself in shape. I do think that he does the work in between starts. I've seen it with my own eyes at Dodger Stadium, and I think that in this situation you can write off the idea of him just missing 2 starts. It's clearly going to be more than that. But I would say my concern level, when you consider the fact that it's uncharted waters for him when it comes to innings pitched, he's already doubled his career high innings pitched this season. I think I'm going to give it a healthy 6. I really am. But hopefully it's nothing major, and hopefully, look, he's got a lot of tread on that arm. Remember, he's a converted player, right? Outfielder. And hopefully he can come back strong, because this team, they really need as many arms they can get in the postseason. You saw what happened last year when guys just started dropping like flies. They can't afford that this season if they want to win it all. Cypress, love D-Mac. Keep up the good work, bro. Hey, man, thanks, Cypress, for rocking with us. And all you guys out there, thank you so much. Miss your post-game show, D-Mac, Cody. Yeah, we're back, man. Rest of the year, I'm going to try to hit 4 or 5 shows a week at minimum. So we'll, yeah, and this all thanks to you guys for making the show what it is, really. I mean, we got, I'm not worried about Dunk. The Boomer Assassin says, I'm not worried about drunk dead arm Scherzer, DeGrom figuring him out. There you go. There's a Ewing comment. We got a fundamental baseball, and we look like little leaguers. Charge the ball, straddle the bag, and make the tag. Call for the ball. That's from Roy Estrada. Yeah, I mean, I could have said it any better, and you're pointing out all the defensive lapses, and I would also include maybe the play early with Trey Turner not able to get to that ball, which could have been a double play ball, which would have helped Clayton Kershaw in this one limit that pinch count early in the game. But yeah, I mean, and then the last play with Mookie and Gavin Lux, that was just inexcusable. I mean, you're talking about a Gold Glove right fielder, one of, if not the best right fielders in the game. I think he clearly is the best right fielder in the game when you talk about being a complete defensive player with the arm, with the range, with his instincts. And then Gavin Lux, he's just kind of lazily drifting back on it, and I think that that's a situation where if you're going to drift back as far as he did, you got to either communicate, make the play, call off Mookie Betts, or just not be as involved at the beginning and let Mookie charge that and try to have him give his best effort to make the play like we've seen him do so many times in his career. Then Max Muncy, like you said, straddle that bag, let the ball get to him, make that tag. I think that Will Smith was in a good position to make a throw. It was a high pitch. It was a ball, but there was that. And then I think the Gavin Lux one, just staying back and not charging, he's going to watch that play, and he's going to be the first one to say, hey, I'm going to be charging balls from now on. I'm not going to let a guy like Starling Marte, who's a guy who has above average speed. Like I say, he's in the 70th percentile when it comes to sprint speed. He's a guy that was hustling down the line, and he got out of that box. He got himself an infield hit, and I think that's the one that irks me the most, because that to me is just instincts and just kind of effort level. You have to know you're going to have to charge that play, and it was just way too casual for my liking. Call up Outman and give him and Vargas some real playing time. Richard Burris. I think that, yeah, James Outman, he's going to get his opportunity. Lux is going to learn from this. Chill out, Albert Rodriguez. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Lux guy. I was one of the only guys that was saying not to trade Gavin Lux when pretty much half the Dodgers world was trying to trade him for a bag of Doritos and a Subway gift card and a half full tank of gas, but that wasn't me. I think Gavin Lux is a guy that he's under team control until 2027. He's going to be a big part of this Dodgers team's future. I think he's a guy that is a contingency plan in the event that Trey Turner signs with another team this offseason. I just think that there are some times that there are some mental lapses on defense. He has the talent. He has the raw ability to make plays. He has an arm. Yes, he has had some issues with the yips in the past, kind of short-arming balls. But in this case, I think with Gavin Lux, it was just a matter of not getting to that ball quick enough. And I do think that ideally he is a second baseman. I think a lot of people think that He can fill in for that shortstop spot, and I think this organization, that's one of the reasons why they didn't offer Trey Turner that extension. They wanted to see what Gavin Lux was going to do this year, not only defensively but offensively. But, yeah, he'll be fine with this. Fire Dave Roberts. That's from Michael. We got Kersh, David Stauffer. Mr. Classic, these games against postseason teams shows you a lot about these Dodgers. We aren't, like, way better. Yeah, I mean, I think that this team realizes that. I don't think this team is overconfident. I really don't. I think that this was a necessary, I don't want to call it a wake-up call, but a kind of back to earth, taking this team back to earth and realizing that, yes, this team is filled with talent, and they're going to always have the talent advantage, but they're going against big leaguers, and big leaguers can beat any team on any given day. And this Mets team, they looked hungry. I think it was electric out last night with the trumpet, Mr. Trumpet, the doo-doo-doo-doo, and everything with that they had going on with Edwin Diaz. And this team, you know that they have the Dodgers as the barometer, that they are gauging how well they can play against the Dodgers, and they can go into the postseason if these two teams were to face off, knowing that they beat this team 4-3 in the season series. It was very close when it came to scoring. It was a 25-24 advantage by the Mets, but these teams, I think, are more evenly matched if everyone is healthy. Because, look, if you look at their top two in the rotation with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, if they can keep them healthy, that's going to be a tough team to face in the NLCS if that's when these two teams face off, and they can really set up their rotation. And offensively, they're a team that they have really kind of used some of the Dodgers' recipe for success. The Dodgers' formula, of course, at the plate is having that strike zone awareness and not expanding the zone. And this team, although they lack slugging at times, they're a team that goes out there and they make the opposing pitcher work. They get that pitch count up. They don't swing at too many pitches outside of the zone. So, yeah, this Mets team, I mean, you got a dominant closer. They have a lot of things that you want, a lot of boxes that you want to check off when it comes to being a World Series contender. And I think that they have to walk away from this series feeling good about themselves, knowing that they beat the Dodgers pretty handily and kept them to just 2.6 runs per game in this marquee series. But, by the way, we got rid of Mitch White, Ray F. We got Jonathan Moore, and I can see Muncy getting his ish together soon, and sometimes Bellinger surprises you in the playoffs. Yeah, last year, Cody Bellinger, 907 OPS, second to Chris Taylor. Max Muncy, he really already has kind of gotten himself together. If you look at his numbers in the month of August, he really definitely played well, definitely showed the adjustment with the step back, and his timing at the plate has gotten a lot better. And I think I'm ready at this point to say that it's not the shoulder, it's not the rotator cuff, it's not the elbow injury that he suffered late in the season last year against the Brewers, that the Trace Peterson play. I don't think that it's the ill effects of that anymore. I think that he had 906 OPS in the month of August. That's what you want to see from Max Muncy. 7 home runs, 6 doubles. I definitely think that he's on the right track. But, getting back to Kershaw's outing, bottom of the third inning, a 1-2 count. He painted the inside corner for strike 3 to get Starling Marte looking for the first out. Just great pinpoint command there. Target was a little high, but he ends up painting that inside corner. And then he gets Lindor swinging at a slider, bottom of the zone for the second out. And then he landed that Cooperstown curveball that at the bottom of the zone against Alonso, and then that sets him up, and he gets him to ground to short. A nice play by Trey Turner, nice little backhanded play, strong throw for the third out of the inning. So a 1-2-3 third on 14 pitches for Clayton Kershaw. He was locked in at that point. You saw he settled in very nicely and really shook off that rough first inning where he just didn't have that same command. Then he comes out there. Let's jump back in the comment section, guys. We got win or lose, Dodgers fans for life, unconditional love for the boys in blue. The defense didn't help at all. That's from Felipe. Outman to replace CT. That's from Boomer Assassin. That's a hot take right there. Yeah, one thing I really didn't like was the fact that Chris Taylor, he was
Fire team.
Oh, there we go. That Chris Taylor, did you guys see him grabbing his elbow there on that throw where they were able to get another run late? So he definitely didn't want to see that play with Chris Taylor. And, I mean, Chris, look, my hope, I tweeted out, I said, look, I hope that Chris Taylor is timing this slump so he can catch fire and really get things right for the home stretch in the postseason run. But yeah, I mean, I think you start to get concerned about his health, especially when he's grabbing that elbow late in that game. Yeah, you just didn't like to see that. And yeah, when Marte singled to left, scoring Nemo that made it 5-2 Mets late in the game in the 7th. Yeah, let's talk about that inning. So in the bottom of the 7th inning, McNeil, he flied to left. Then Escobar grounded to third. Then McCann, he doubled to deep left. And then Nemo, he doubled to right. That scored McCann. And that made it 4-2 Mets. And then Marte, he singles to left. And on that throw, just high and just not even a competitive throw by Chris Taylor there, allowing Nemo to score. Nemo's probably going to score anyway, but still, just not a good throw right there by Chris Taylor. And then Ferguson gets Lindor to swinging for the third out of the inning. But, yeah, then the top of the 8th, give the Dodgers credit. They did fight back a little bit. Freddie Freeman, he drew a leadoff walk, was 2-2 in the count, then was able to take 2 straight balls against Edwin Diaz. And then Will Smith on a 1-2 pitch, he ends up getting hit by a slider on the elbow up and in. That gave the Dodgers runners on first and second to start the inning. And then Max Muncy, he flied to center on an 0-1 count, and that's what I was talking about earlier in the show. Some big swings, trying to get it all back in one swing against Edwin Diaz. And I think that approach is not going to work against a guy like Diaz. You really just want to keep the rally going, pass the baton, and just continue the momentum. Instead, that's the first out of the inning. And then Justin Turner, first pitch slider, he just missed one. Geez, Brandon Nemo, yesterday he had one of the catches of the year. Today, he flies out to deep center, and that scored Freddie Freeman to make it 5-3 Mets. So the Dodgers pull within 2, and then with runners with the chance to tie the game, Gavin Lux on a 1-2 count, he swings and misses at a 102-mile-per-hour fastball, and that was that. So you didn't see too much in the top of the 9th. Dodgers go down 1. They go down in order. Thompson, he struck out swinging. Taylor struck out swinging. And then Betts, he flied to center to end the game. So not very much from this Dodgers offense. Didn't put up a great fight in this one. And as a team tonight, Dodgers, they end up striking out 9 times as a team. So, yeah, I mean, the positive really is Clayton Kershaw. Like I said, he retired the last 13 batters he faced. He had 6 strikeouts. He ends up with those 3 walks, only the 9th time in his career that he had 3 walks in an inning. So only the 9th time in his career. And as a whole, he goes 5 innings today, allowed 1 hit, 1 run, 6 punchies, 3 walks, 74 pitches, a 29.7 CSW percentage, so called strike, and the whip percentage, and then he retired the final 3 batters he faced. So, yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good about his outing, I think. Like I said earlier, if this is who he's going to be, he was looking fresh out there. He was looking, after he found the command of that slider, he was the Clayton Kershaw that we've seen in the reinvention phase of his career, where he's been able to go out there and be effective despite losing some velocity on his 4-seam fastball. And if you look at his breakdown today, he went with that 4-seam fastball 47% of the time. In that first inning, just 7 of those 25 pitches were the slider, and on the year, he throws the slider more than the fastball at a 44.4% clip. Today, he was dotting that fastball, he was painting it, he was locating it, and he was able to set up those off-speed pitches. And he ends up getting 3 swings and misses from that fastball, 8 from the slider, 2 from the curveball, 13 swings and misses total. So, yeah, if you look at the velocity, averaged 91 miles per hour on the 4-seamer, which was just up 0.3 miles per hour. So that's definitely something to feel good about. I mean, clearly his arm felt good today, and the time off has done him well. But, yeah, any other takeaways, let me know down below in the comment section. You guys can walk this thing off. To me, like I said, suspect defense on this road trip. You can call them the Los Angeles Augers. I'm not going to include the D, because where is the D? Of course, you had the 3 errors in the first game against the Marlins. You had the error by JT's. You had the error by Trey. Throwing error by Gallons. You just have not looked crisp, and today was another example on defense. And, yeah, to me, I think when you look at this offense, one of my final thoughts is this offense, they were just quiet this entire series. You talk about the big three going 6 for 35, just not enough hits, not enough slug. And this is a team that was averaging over 6 runs per game in August, and they lead all of Major League Baseball with over 5.3 runs per game. So hopefully this is not a trend against elite competition. Of course, you're going up against Jacob deGrom and Sandy Alcantara, and you got to tip your cap at times. But in this one, it was just not a great series for the Dodgers, but they'll be fine. Still on pace to win 112 games. They come home to face the Padres, and I think that this team, they have to find ways to just continue to motivate themselves down the stretch. Whether it's a big game against a division rival to end their season, or having some of these young guys get some opportunities, the Miguel Vargas types and guys like that, or kind of get the Blake Trinans back, and just they have to find little ways on a daily basis to just keep themselves locked in, because this team is going to finish with the best record in baseball, but you want to go into the postseason with momentum, playing your best baseball. And right now, that's, to me, if there seems to be some debate out there in Dodgerland, and we'll kind of end on this question, is do you think they should go for it when it comes to the all-time record? Because now it'll be tough. I mean, they can only lose 6 games, 5 games, and I've done the math yet after today, but yeah, if you look at this team down the stretch, it's gonna be tough to face that, to get that all-time record. But I mean, it's gonna be tough, because what do you got? 90. What did they record? 90 and 40, 130 games. You got 130 games. So you got what? So basically, So they're 1-6. So right now they're 90 and 40. So basically, you can only lose 5 games the rest of the way if they want to set that all-time record. But I was thinking that, hey, if you want to keep a team locked in, they want to chase history, maybe that's something that they can do. But look, let's not forget, the 1906 Cubs, they won 116 games. They lost in the World Series to the White Sox. The 2001 Mariners, they won 116 games. They didn't even make it to the World Series. So, look, it's about who's hot in October, and I think the priority has to be to keep guys fresh. But if you're close, you kind of owe it yourself to chase history. And, hey, why not do both if you continue to win games? But I want to ask you guys that. Should the Dodgers go for the all-time record with 117 wins, or do you think that they should load manage and try to do whatever they can to keep guys fresh? Because the risk in that is, if you give guys time off, do they risk losing their rhythm and their timing? And it's the rust versus rest debate that you can have at times. Remember what happened with the Patriots when the Patriots were 16. We're chasing the Miami Dolphins. So I mean, just look at the 2015-16 Warriors that went 73-9. They end up losing in the NBA Finals. I mean, look at the Patriots in 2007. They go 16-0. They end up losing to the Giants in the Super Bowl. So to me, it's all about winning that ring. But here we go. Mopes are peasants. Okay. Don't go for it all-time record. Just break the Dodgers' single-season record of 106 and rest some players. That's from Alex Renteria. We got no rest players a couple of times a week. That's from Craig Osterberg. Screw the record. That's from Jason Diamond. Yeah. I think we're all... I got to fix that. I think we're all in agreement on this one. Yeah, you definitely want to manage this team to really put themselves in a position from a health standpoint, especially after what we saw last season. But here we go. Let's walk it off here. We got Dodgers will be fine. I'm worried about their pitchers' injuries. Here we go. We got bring in the rookies for a week and let them rest for a few games. We got Justin Lamas, DFA, Sam Crandall, and send him to Oakland. Okay, we got, either way, who cares about the record? Boomer Assassin. As far as the World Series is concerned, I'd be more worried about the Astros over the Mets. Hey, if you guys can look back, if you guys want to see my preseason prediction of the Dodgers, I predicted they would win 107 games, and I said that they would beat the Houston Astros in the World Series. So I hate to pick the Astros, but that's who I felt would be in the Fall Classic, and that was my preseason pick. Also, guys, hey, man, I did predict their last road trip. I said they'd go 10-14. They did. So you guys with the lottery numbers, takeaway, D-Mac is the GOAT. Right back at you, Dong. You're the man, Dong Kim. Appreciate you as always, and everyone for rocking with us. We got Anthony Keene who says, I want to see some phantom IL stints, bring up Outman and the crew. Look, James Outman, trust me, you can't get him out, man, and I think he's going to get his opportunities. There's no question about that. I mean, he hit for the cycle twice in 1 week, hit a walk-off home run. I mean, this guy is a movie, okay? James Outman is a movie at this point, so yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much success he's been able to have, and I think the big debate, too, is does he make his move as the Dodgers starting center fielder next season, and do the Dodgers non-tender Cody Bellinger, considering you're going to have to pay him at least $17 million, and James Outman wouldn't be making $700,000. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. I just think it's crazy that a guy had 2 cycles in 1 week. 2 cycles in 1 week. It's just pretty amazing. I mean, if you look at that'd be crazy if he came up and hits the first cycle for the Dodgers. That would be absolutely wild. But yeah, a couple final thoughts here from you guys, and we'll head out here. An early post-game show. You guys can enjoy your night. What are you guys going to do tonight? What are you going to watch? What are you going to do? Let me know. Let's go a little off topic here. Bellinger isn't worth $10 million a year. That's from Jason Diamond. Watch MLB tomorrow morning and the bias incredible. Martzell, yeah, you definitely know that MLB Central and the East Coast media is going to run with this for sure. Dodgers player development is unreal. Anthony Keene, absolutely. You know how we say the D in Dodgers stands for development. That's why they've been able to sustain this success. ER says trade trash. Chris says Dodgers are fine. Score off Diaz today. Robbed home run off DeGrom was the difference yesterday. Yeah, sometimes that happens, and that's a fair point too. A couple plays in this series could have swung the momentum in the Dodgers' favor, but the reality is the offense didn't do enough, averaging just 2.6 runs per game this series. The big three going 6 for 34. You just need more production from your not only them, but also the 3, 4, and 5 hitters just not getting it done. And the Chris Taylor continues to struggle as well. D in Dodger stands for D-Mac. Hey, what's going on, Cody? Appreciate you, my man. You guys always killing the game. I'll be trolling Padres on their post-game YouTube show, EB. So you're like the Braves beta guy, but for the Dodgers, for the Padres. Respect. The bullpen is going to give them a huge problem. The bullpen is a huge problem. That's from Mark Ortega. I am still worried about October. Golden Neve, just surrender, because you know what? You're gonna worry until the Dodgers get the final out in the World Series, because that's the only way to do it. And I'm with you 100% because I'm the same way. I'm only gonna be satisfied, or I'm only gonna feel okay until they get that final out. And until then, I'm gonna be worried as well. That's just the nature of being a Dodgers fan and a baseball fan too. But thanks a lot, Moose. Appreciate you. No worries, Dodgers will turn it on. We beat ourselves. Moose 1034. Great content. Thanks, John Duvall. But, yeah, a couple walk-it-off takes from you guys, and we will head out. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. And if you want to really support the channel, smash that like button. Remember, this is your show. I'm just hosting. I'm the man of the fan here to get your perspective, because you guys bring those real takes. This is not the Spectrum spin where we just talk probably about Kershaw's positive start for 2 hours, right? This is the real, raw version of what Dodger fans think of their team right now, and sometimes you need that, right? We got the media treats the Dodgers better than the football media treats the Rams. Stan, the Rams fan. Interesting debate. Try to keep cool from Craig Osterberg. Yeah, man, I was going to go to that UCLA football game and be one of the probably like 7 people in attendance, but it's 98 degrees, so I don't know, man. 98 degrees, the boy band, I don't know, they had some hits, but I don't know about that temperature, man. It could get wild. Love your cast. Thanks, Mark Ortega. Appreciate you, my man, rocking with us. This loss is on Lux, plain and simple. That's from Alberto Z. Yeah, I mean, you know he feels bad about it. And, yeah, I think, look, we've seen this team explode offensively, and you just didn't see that in that series. Yes, Gavin Lux's play at second base, it proved costly. I mean, not charging the ball, the miscommunication with Mookie Betts, there's no question about it. But this team, I think, lost as a team offensively by not being able to figure out DeGrom. Like I said, they got DeGrom-inated. The Dodgers need to play like you speak, rapid fire and scoring with comments. Hey, Martzell, hey, I got to speak fast so I can get all your comments in, because you guys bring that fire. But our bullpen was drained. I didn't expect us to win this series. Yeah, I think the bullpen, they definitely looked taxed. I mean, anytime you saw Jake Reed, Hembry in there, I mean, yeah, and then you factor in the injury to Brusdar Gratterall. You got to get this bullpen right, and we need to get Blake back. We need Yancy Almonte back, and then hopefully Craig Kimbrell cannot be Craig Crumble and contribute. But Here we go. I see. So you read my comment, but didn't mention my name. What's up with that? That's from Jesus Ray Perez. I apologize, Jesus Ray Perez. Sometimes I just go rapid fire on this. But Rebecca, Hogwash, Lot, Almighty, Justin Lamas. At least Hogwash had higher standards for his team than 95% of Dodgers loser fans. Justin, come on now. You're being a little rough. I know you're emotional. It's going to be okay. I promise you that the sky isn't falling, okay? D-Mac, you're a Bruins fan. Oh, the pain. Fight on all day. Have fun. Hey, man, I got a lot. Some of my best friends are Trojans. You can't live in this town with, we got to, we're going to the Big Ten together, okay? It's all good in the hood, man. I'll say to this day, Reggie Bush deserves that Heisman Trophy. Give Reggie Bush his Heisman Trophy back. I was actually at that USC Fresno State game when Reggie Bush made that epic comeback, so got a lot of respect for the Trojans. It's all love. Sick of losing every year. COVID World Series is blah. Mr. Classic, that seems like another debate. Talk about a 2020 regular season that was 37% of a normal regular season, and I'm with you. You guys know I call this Dodger team, this franchise, the incomplete elite. Okay, they need to win a 162-game regular season World Series title to satisfy not just Dodger fans, but shut up the haters. And then I think this whole Dodgers project, since the Guggenheim Group took over, feels the same way. I've spoken to the owner of the Dodgers, Mark Walter, and he said the same thing. He said that they're not satisfied with just one World Series title. So I can tell you that the organization agrees with you. But thanks, guys, as always. Anytime, Jesus. Gary, what up, Gary? Dodgers catching a case of the dead arm again. Maybe it was because they're hanging out close to Max Scherzer. Who knows? But, hey, Max Scherzer, that arm just magically came to life when it was time for him to sign that contract, right? We got Anthony Keene, as UC making the move. Felt like the UC system was like, don't worry about them. Edwin Diaz is going to crumble in the playoffs. I'm calling it Jamie Lannister. Hey, man, he did turn it around, but he had some rough years. But, yeah, thanks as always, guys. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Like I said, if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, smash that like button because, hey, this is your show, too. I'm just hosting it. But remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.